I couldn't hit the ball further until I was shown this drill by the world's best long drive coach, Lee Cox. Now this drill helped me come out of a slump in my playing career where I could not stop doing what you're seeing my friend do here, and that is slicing the golf ball. And I was slicing it so it's going massively offline but really short as well. And in that lesson from this drill, I remember that massive sigh of relief as straight away I started hitting the ball incredibly straighter, but then I picked up a good few miles an hour of ball speed along with it. And this is something I see amateur golfers do every single day in lessons. And what the drill was, it was this here, the pump drill. So with the pump drill, what I did, I got myself into a position I wanted to get into in the downswing, and I pumped this position a few times. So I was getting to shaft parallel to the ground. I was making sure the club head was inside the hands, my hips were a little bit rotated, and my chest were a little bit rotated. So I'd pump this position a few times, and I'd swing through and hit the ball. And that massively neutralized my club path from being what you could see before there, which was roughly the numbers I used to be on my out to in swing around anywhere. I used to be from like 6 to 8 degrees swinging to the left, to then pretty much straight away being really neutral. So it was from doing that drill. So as you can imagine, a lot straighter of a golf shot that I would create once I had that feel in my swing, but also the ball speed jumped up quite considerably. I wasn't necessarily swinging the club massively faster, but yes, I did pick up a few miles an hour of club head speed, but it was more to do with what we call reducing a glancing blow across the golf ball. So when you're a golfer who really comes from the outside here, chopping across the golf ball like I was, what we're doing here is we're going to be really just glancing and grazing across that golf ball if we have that extreme path. So imagine like you're punching something, for example. Now when you're punching something, if you're just grazing across it, you will not be putting much of the force of your punch into what you're hitting. Where if you put the exact same amount of force but go more square on, you're going to be then exerting and getting more of that force more into whatever you're punching. It's the same thing with a golf swing. Let's say an out to in path to the left for a right-handed golfer being about 8 degrees. If I then neutralized it to more around 1 or 2 or neutral, I'm going to be then putting more of my force that I'm generating with my swing flushly into the golf ball. So this is where so many golfers have such an excessive path on the outside or inside to where they're glancing, blowing the golf ball, and they're losing a massive amount of distance. But just like anything in the golf swing, you have to understand why you're massively coming on the outside. So that's what most of our lesson was with Lee, was talking about back in many years ago, talking about exactly what was causing the root cause to my issue of chopping across the golf ball, having this extreme path. And for me, I was lifting up and going vertically up with my arms. I wasn't having much depth to them, so they were becoming very upright to where my hands were pretty much over my toes and my left arm was really almost covering my face. So then as I turned down the downswing, even with good sequencing, lower body, mid-torso going first, you're going to see how the club is just going to massively get out in front of me. So you can see then as I would get to around shaft parallel to the ground, my club head is massively outside my hand. So all I could do was swing across it and have that glancing blow, massive slice shot that we see a lot of golfers have. Now this just crept into my swing all of a sudden, this did. I mean, this was a good around 7 or so years ago, but it really, really did halt me in my progress massively. So that's why with us, why we targeted our drill, the pump drill, because we knew that, okay, getting here, having that club head a little bit on the outside at shaft parallel, if we could replicate a position here on shaft parallel to the ground and get ourselves to where that club head was in the inside and then pump that position a few times and hit the ball, then we're going to be having a much better club path going through the golf ball. But that would be incredibly hard to do unless I had more depth at the top. So more depth meaning your hands a little bit more behind, the left arm more across your shoulder plane. So we did a drill alongside this to make sure I was working on the root cause and working on the effects straight away. So that's where, along with my pump drill, I did this. So I used a long alignment stick here. Now I'm using the swing plate right now. This wasn't available back when I was working on this. And if you want one of these, there's a discount code in the description here. Incredibly useful for you. Now, I had a long alignment stick back in the day, and what this would do, this would prevent me from swinging overly up with my arms. So from me just straight away swinging underneath this, I would immediately have a little bit more of a to the right path, so a little bit more in to out through there. So immediately this alone gave me good feedback. But what we did with Lee, we made sure, okay, let's work on that pump drill at the same time, get these repetitions in there. I'll be naturally, as I'm getting up to top and going to the pump position, repeating a good top of the backswing by getting my hands and left arm a little bit more around me, swinging underneath the stick, and then repeating that pump position, 1, 2, 3 through the ball, and just nudging them down there. Now, when we did this, we didn't ultimately go out and try to hit the ball far doing that drill. It was just trying to get in the right spot and then just repeating it over and over again. So that's what I vividly remember here, guys, doing so much of this outside of the lesson, practicing. I did it for months and months, and every single practice session, I was doing this pump drill over and over again, to the point where then when I would compete in my tournaments, I would still feel like this stick was here, which was the real benefit of this, because I vividly remember being in a tournament, if we take that away, being on that first tee, and I did so many repetitions of it, I really felt like I still had that stick there. So I was just, of course, not doing a pump drill on a competition tee. I was just feeling like I was swinging underneath the stick, and straight away, I was hitting the ball straight, which was a huge sigh of relief, because I was really hitting the ball with my 6-iron, because this is 6-iron stay I'm using here. I was hitting my 6-iron like 150 yards. I dropped a massive amount of yardage when my normal at the time was around 175 yards by 6-iron. So I dropped about 20 yards because of that issue. And then straight away, I mean, as you can see here with a bunch of my shots, I'm hitting it more around the 100 and 80, 185 region here. So it really can boost up a massive amount of ball speed. Of course, get you hitting the ball just so much straighter for it as well. It is a huge thing to do, is make sure your club path is in a place where you're not massively swinging across it. I would want players to be really anywhere from 3 to the left or 3 to the right, in that little range there, because then you can match up a functional club face to that and really have a good, nice shot going from there. I don't really want to see too much more than that unless you're super functional with it, because then you're going to be really losing out on ball speed. It's going to be hard to really plan real way around the golf playing with such a big shape too. So guys, make sure you work on this. Make sure if you're a slicer of the golf ball, this will be a huge one, get that more depth. I work on this with students on Skillist all the time, and if you want to work with me on Skillist, there is a link down there in the description for it for online lessons. So extremely common reason for slicing it. This is a reason why a lot of players will early extend as well. A lot of reasons why players will really stall out in their rotation. So it's huge problem. How your body reacts to it is what actually occurs to your ball flight. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction, just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too, to be notified every time I put out a video.